Hey guys, this video is back on Carpe Vanguard profile, so if you guys enjoyed, don't type, subscribe, this time we're covering DZ set 5 for the Destined Alden for Keter Sanctuary. So Alden got more support cards, and obviously we're going to focus more on the Destined one. I mean, we could use the OG Alden grade 3, okay, well not the OG Alden, the OG Alden on Vanguard grade 3, but I chose to make it the Destined one because I'm just not going to bother trying to support that one unless they specifically name require. Either way though, this deck has gotten some nice cards of support that do help us playstyle a little bit, so let's go ahead and stretch out and see what we got. First today we have our energy generator. It's our ride deck crest. You remember ride deck crest in your ride deck, auto ride deck. When you ride, plus card to your card zone, with second energy charge 3. Continues to energies auto beginning ride phase, energy charge 3 more, and then act once per turn, energy blast 7, draw a card. All around pretty solid. You get a 3 for energy every turn. If you want second, you get an extra 3 on top of that. And if you don't end up drawing any of your energy users, which granted is only one card, you could use the energy blast 7 to draw a card. Though I guarantee you will probably never use that ability because your main energy user costs 4 energy and does the exact same thing. So it's cheaper, technically speaking. So all around is a nice card and it can get you hand cards, but pretty much all you need to know is this will always get you energy and it will always be used to get you hand cards. So take that as you will. That's our ride deck crest. Going on to our starter, we have Knight of Heavenly Expression Adamus, grade 0 boost, 5k show, skip base, auto reply for second, draw a card, standard start, and about to freeze draw if you go second. You can make this any card you want. You can even technically make it the OG Adamus because none of the ride line for Alden requires this as the starter, but because the line got an evolution and like an actual evolution, which was weird because Alden was like one of the last lines released in regular D, and then in DZ is when they dropped this. I just feel like kind of disrespectful to all the other decks that had been on for so long and never got an upgraded ride line, but I mean, hey, I'll take what I can get because I love the Alden line. So one of items in the ride deck. And then we have our triggers. We have our over trigger, True Arbitrator Dragon of 100 Swords, Durov also. Grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power, over trigger in your deck, voted at trigger, move the card, draw a card, choose one mutes against move of the turn. If voted during draw check, activate it's a disfed would you into under turn. You can also perform drive checks with the battles you rear guard attack. Arm pretty solid, 3 million in a draw whenever you drive checks or damage check this. And if you did drive check it, your entire rear guard gets, drive checks. And considering the fact that more likely than not you will have, I don't know, somewhere between 3 and 5 drive checks 3 and 4 drive checks consistently almost every single turn if you pull that over trigger. It's nice to have, especially because you're getting 5 attacks out with it as well. All around Durov also is nice over trigger to have. You can run Volnut for more consistent multi-attacking. You can run a Spoiler for recycling or the Dark over trigger for healing and calling, but I just prefer Durov also because A, I like running the Nation over triggers, and B, he has swords for wings and that's all that matters to me. Moving on to our normal triggers, run 3 copies of Protection Magic Pro, B, grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 4k base, continues guards, opponents, vanguards are grade 3 guard, gets 5,000 shield. Okay, 10k shield is a draw trigger, helps increase the hand. This deck is meant to be more defensive against my better judgment, so I've chosen to run this at 3 copies. You can run Alpac for more numbers, you definitely can. The only reason I don't is because I know myself, and the way I play this deck would essentially become I would have 0 cards and I got 1 turn to win it. So Pro B is here to keep myself in check and keep me from basically screwing over all my offense in one go. So dear Pro B, nice card to increase the hand, and again it's a 10k shield because of its shield value. Moving on to our crits, we have a total of 8 crits, 4 violation, Rigor Dragon, grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power. You can technically make any crit you want just to make it this one because I did not feel like grabbing the one that was Rezael's crit because I don't know, Cleavema felt weird to me. Then we have 4 copies of Blade for the Dragon, grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 4k power, critical trigger, auto rear guard, and boosted, shove this card to soul, choose one music control for the turn. Okay, this deck does have a handful of soul blasters, so you might run into a soul problem, and that what Blade Feather is for. So being able to increase your soul and worst case scenario give someone extra 2k is nice as well. And again, 8 crit for the pressure of since you're consistently doing 4 to 5 attacks every turn. Then we have Recuperate Angel, grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power. It's the same reason why this is here. Well, also in the sense that I copied this deck from the original Alden deck, so technically speaking, these are the original Alden triggers, quote unquote, even though these are more youth perk triggers. But either way, Recuperate Angel, standard heal, nuts battle, you can make this anyhow you want, just to make a Recuperate Angel because again, I say, I copied this from the original Alden deck, which this was the heal for. You can even make it the counter heals if you want. I just choose not to because I like the consistent 15k shield of the vanilla heals rather than the fluctuating 10 25k shield of the counter heals. But I mean, again, you do what you want to do. Either way, though, I have 4 heals, 8 crits, 3 draws. On to our grade 1s, we run 2 copies of the new grade 1 Fangon, grades at 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Auto rear guard when your other unit is placed on rear guard circle in the same column as this unit. CB1, choose one of your opponent's back or rear guards and retire. First up, it also has to have a unit on that circle, and it can also be used on the circle this unit is placed on. So like say, for example, a unit was superior called over this unit on the same column, it would still proc the ability, or a unit was called in front of this unit, or technically behind it as well. As long as something else was already in that rear guard circle, Fangon would go off. All around pretty solid. It does eat into the CB, which is a little bit annoying, but it can get rid of an opponent's back or rear guard, so it could possibly nullify an interceptor or get rid of a really good back row booster. Just say, for example, Oswald walled for Eugene to allow the restand. So 2 of Vanguard, pretty nice. You don't want to see too much because this guy is going to eat to the CB, but it's nice to get rid of a pesky opponent rear guards as well. Then we have 3 copies of Wafting Owl. Okay, this card is only here because this deck was supposed to be defensive. If it was not the case, this card would not be here at all. Great on boost, like I showed, AK base. Okay, but it is also a really cool owl. I do love the fact that it's an owl and it's really cool. And I just did a speech on owls. So let me know if you guys want to hear that one because it was really dumb. Continues rear guard to guard circle. If your Vanguard has Alden in the card name and has Divine Skill, this gets 5,000 power, 5k shield, active all players' turns. Okay, cool. 13k base, 10k shield the second you ride to the Alden grade 3 because it has Divine Skill. Armor pretty solid to have. Good defensive option. Good early game aggro target that you can just call on your grade 1 and then keep on board while you're at grade 3 because at least it will always be a 13k booster and or swinger. So it's a nice 3 of, especially because it can also be recycled via Alden's superior call ability. Then we have 3 copies of Knight of Heavenly Pitch Personel. Okay, I'm pretty sure no one else runs this. I just run Personel because I see a play I can do. It is possible to use, and yeah, anyways, great on boost, like I showed, AK base, auto back or rear guard center. At the end of battle, this unit is boosted. At the end of battle, this unit boosted. If your opponent's vanguards are great through rear guard, CB1, shove this card to soul, choose the same number of your rest of rear guards, the number of rear guards placed by the ability of your vanguard all in the card name during the battle phase of this turn. Stand them, and if you stand 2 or more cards, draw a card. Okay. You will never draw a card in this deck with that skill because you can only superior call once this turn with, during the battle phase, at least this turn with Alden's ability. So you're only ever going to be able to just stand 1 rear guard, but basically you want to superior call 1 unit on top of Personel. We'll get to who that is later. And then Personel will stand someone else. And then Personel at the end of the battle will stand 1 rear guard because you superior call something over Personel. Armor Personel is a nice grade 1 to have. It allows for multi-attack decks to kind of bypass the run weakness of, losing out on boosters and boost early with one of your weaker attacks. Have 1 rear guard swing, and then get to restand a column and restand another rear guard to add pressure to it. The only downside to Personel is it requires him to be in back row center, and the fact that he doesn't go off at grade 3, while there's also another card that activates in back row center, which works similarly. Well, it doesn't work similarly, but it works in terms of a better beat stick. So, take that as you will, though. I do like to run Personel. I do like his skill a lot, and I love his art too. So, he's a 3-0 for me, and if you don't want to run Personel, fair enough. Then we have 3 copies of Heavenly Defense Dragon, Wedge Flu Dragon, our last grade 1 that isn't the PG. Grade 1 boost, like I showed, AK base. Continues rear guard. If they're in the battle that it boosted anything, if your Vanguard's a grade 3 or grade Alden, plus 5,000 power. Okay, so it's a 13k regardless of what it's boosting as long as your Vanguard's an Alden. And then auto rear guard when this unit boosts a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, Alden the card name. Soul charge 1 to give you 2,000 power in the battle. Okay, it gets you soul. It's a 15k booster. All around, pretty solid to have. Again, these two do conflict with each other because once one's in back center, automatically the other one cannot be used. But I like to have Wedge Flu Dragon in the deck in case I do run into soul problems because I may be soul blasting out like hell with the ability of Rationale over here. But of course, if you do end up running into a situation, that's where Wedge Fluent and our Blade Feather Dragon come in. And if you don't want to like run one over the other, like say for example, you do like Personel more than you like Wedge Fluent, you can drop Wedge Fluent for the order that allows Alden to do Personel skill to its fullest extent. Or say for example, you don't like Personel, then you can just take out Personel and then up everyone here by 1. So all around Wedge Fluent is a nice grade 1 to have. Get you soul, get you decent numbers for bodies, 3 of. Then we have our PG and Bringer Protection Keflon. Great on boost, 0 souls, K base continues Sentinel. With the 4 Sentinels in the deck on spawn a guard circle. Choose one meets that cannot be hit in the battle. If your hands 2 or more cards in it, choose guard. Hands guard, it's standard PG. Nothing too special about it. It basically means if this is only one of the cards that hand plus on guard circle, you don't want to guard, it's great. Because that means you can be as aggressive as you want in the early game, even though this deck is meant to be more defensive than offensive. Spam the ever-living hell out of all your grade 1s. And then when your opponent eventually counterattacks you, after they've probably dug through most of your hand and your defensive cards, throw down this PG, give them the middle finger, and you're good to go. All around, Keflon is a very solid PG to have. You can run Aegis Meyer Dragon, you could run Paladinium Zeo Dragon, they all have the exact same effect. I choose to make a Keflon because A, Keflon came out close to the time of Destined Alden's release, and B, more importantly, he's called Bringer of Protection. Alden is the Destined one of Protection, and that, for the record, that's not the reason why Proby's here. It's just I noticed that this video that Proby has Protection in his name, but yeah, 4 of Keflon. He is actually here because of his name, so 4 of. And then our last grade 1 of the deck, 1 of in the red deck, none in the main deck, of Knight of Heavenly Soul, Tranquil. Quilla, whatever the hell. My God, this thing looks beautiful. Look at the giant, like, just civilization in the background and his, I don't know what that is, staff, spear, whatever the heck. And just his armor and his hair. Oh, I love this card so much. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, AK base, auto and Rotopound by Everlasting Sky Knight. Sodia's check top 5, just a 1 grade 2 or greater card from unreal, put your hand shuffle deck. If you're not reveal a card, soul, or not soul charge, energy charge 2. Okay. All around, very solid ability. free roam road upon, checks the top 5 for literally any of your aggressive attackers, or you get a Persona ride or things that set up for your, grade 3 turn in general, and then you add it to the hand, and if you don't get to add something, well, you get 2 free energy, so you can either energy blast 7 a turn earlier and be good with that, or you just get a free energy just to have a free energy. Aron Tranquilla is a nice grade 1 to have, and I do love this version of I love the new Alden line more than I like the old Alden line, simply because the old Alden line, A, required you to have at least 3 cards in hand every single time you use their effect, but also the fact that the old Alden line, Sodius and Tranquil will only get the cards that were the same grade as themselves, not the same grade as a Vanguard you just went to, which means sometimes you would whiff or have to call a trigger from Tranquil because you could only call a grade 1 or less, and that's typically what I would see from my top 5. It would either be a PG and a trigger or just no grade 1s whatsoever. So being able to get a grade 2 or grade and add it to hand, and if I don't get something, I at least get benefit out of it, is nice to have, so he makes for a nice 1-of in the red deck, none in the main deck. Moving on to our grade 2s. 3 copies of Sharpness Eye Airmac. I refuse to part with this card because this card's really good for the offense. Grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base, auto when placed on rearguard circle. If you have a unit with Alden in the card name anywhere on your board, doesn't matter if it's Vanguard or rearguard, it gets 5,000 power. Then if it was placed by a card's ability, it gets 15k instead. All around pretty solid because that is at least a 15k once you hit grade 3, or once an Alden hits the board in general. And if you're on, or if it was called by an ability, it's a 25k base for the turn, which all around is pretty great because Alden Superior calls this, and then you have Rationale, or you Superior call on top of Rationale, who then gives it another 10k, so it's at 35. Rationale then stands someone else, not to mention the fact that if you Persona Ride, you stack triggers to it, automatically Airmac is getting so much bigger, and that's probably the column that you can afford to boost with beforehand, and then the column that you don't have to restand, and you can boost with both columns, what I'm saying. Superior call Airmac over the Rationale column, and then you just don't have to worry about standing the back or center on that one. You can just use Personel to restand the other column, essentially, because Airmac is already hitting for 35k on his own. All around, very solid grade 2 to have, acts for good numbers, thanks to Alden's ability, anything that he Superior calls over can be bounced back to your hand, and just a good card to beat stick pressure all around, so good 3 of. Then we have Knight of Skyflow's Jelhamet. Okay, this card is here simply because I feel bad getting rid of him. I like the art so much, and I feel bad getting rid of him. Also, he just feels like he parallels Airmac, because look at them. Airmac is a Shadow Paladin. All of us can agree, this is a Shadow Paladin card, if there was ever a Shadow Paladin card that wasn't a Shadow Paladin card. And this card's clearly a Royal Paladin card. They're standing on literally opposite sides of the card, with spear and sword, the most opposite weapons there can be. I'm saying weapons because shields are more defensive options. And then not to mention the fact their skills are polar opposites as well. They both require grade 3 or greater. Okay, they both require an Alden, which is technically grade 3 or greater. But also this one gets defensive value, and this one gets offensive value. I like having them in these decks. They feel like a parallel to each other, and I love it. Anyway, Skyflows, auto when it intercepts. If your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater, Alden gets 20,000 shield for that battle. Okay, 25k shield is nothing to scoff at. Except if that 25k shield requires this thing to intercept and essentially gets shut down by anything that either kills via effects, binds via effects, removes this thing from the board in any way via effects, or more importantly, prevents you from intercepting. You see, Alden can at least stop things from being retired by effects. Everything else, fair game. So Jelhamet is not a bad grade 2. It's a 25k interceptor, which is nice to have. It's just that if your opponent finds a way to stop this thing from intercepting, automatically it's the most useless grade 2 in your deck. Which is why it's here at a 3-0, but again, I do like having them both here, and I probably won't get rid of them just because, I love seeing the parallel. If one goes, I'm taking out the other one because there's no reason for the other one to be here now, but they're really cool to have together in the deck, just looking at them. Look at them, they're like Legion. I wonder if their arts line up or if their arts fully pair. Actually, it kind of does, because look, the buildings are kind of leaning more to the left on this one, and the buildings are leaning more to the right on this one. I'm telling you, it's a parallel. They knew what they were doing. Moving on to our last grade 2, Knight of Heavenly Chase Diplos, grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base, auto when placed on rearguard circle by the ability of Vanguard Alden in the card name. Choose one of the units, it gets 5,000 power for that turn. And if this unit was placed on rearguard circle with a unit that was already on there, it gets 10k instead. So all around, pretty solid. I did have to unfortunately take out Wedge Dragon because of how the deck was looking, and I didn't want to because I wanted to give Alden the ability to gain 10k, but in hindsight, Dapley's over here pretty much gives Alden 10k anyways. So it just Superior calls herself from Alden's ability, whatever Alden called her on top of, probably Rationale, worst case scenario, gets bounced back to hand, and then she just gives the Vanguard 10k anyways because everyone else is already getting the same numbers anyways, and if you don't want to give it to Vanguard because maybe your opponent's going to PG it anyways, you just give it to your other rear guard, so Light Leads is technically the worst option of the two. And then she has a continuous rearguard circle skill where if continues guard circle. I don't know why it says rear guard circle. This was pulled straight from the fandom. But if you have a great 3 Vanguard with Alden in the card name, she gets 5,000 shield. All around, pretty solid. 10k shield. Nice to have. Not the greatest defensive option, especially when technically this exists. But again, she is better because, you know, she doesn't have to be intercepting to get that shield bonus. And again, just by being placed by a card ability, gives the unit plus 10. All around, Diplis is a very solid grade 2 to have. I love her skill a lot. I think she's really good for the Alden deck, and she's an easy 4 for me. And then our last grade 2 in the deck, actually, one of them in the right deck, none in the main deck, though, is Everlasting Sky Knight Sodia. Grade 2 instead 5k shield, 10k base, auto rolled upon by a grade 3 card on the card name, soul blast 1, check top 5, jump to any one card that's grade 3 or less from one of them, call it to rear guard, shuffle the deck. Okay. Soul Blast, top 5, good rear guard. Downside is this, okay, upside is this can call anything. Downside is, granted, it's not a forced call. You could just choose not to call something, but like, say, for example, you saw a PG, and that was your only good unit, because maybe the rest are triggers, you just called the PG. On the upside, you can superior call a unit over that PG with Alden's ability, and then whatever is superior called over it just gets bounced back to your hand. So, all around, Sodia is a very nice card for at least setting up Alden combos and getting you board presence, since, you know, he can literally grab anything on the field. So I like to have him in here as a 1 in the red deck, not in the main deck. Moving on to our grade 3s, 2 copies of Heavenly Rise Dragon, Linker Spear Dragon, grade 3 to Persona 13k base, auto rear guard when your other unit is placed on the rear guard circle this unit it was on. If your Vanguards are grade 3 or greater Alden, choose our units, give it 10,000 power for that turn. Okay, and again, same reason why she is here. He can just give 10k to anyone, it doesn't have to be specifically the Vanguard, but this is an upgrade, quote unquote, to light leads, to where if we can't use Rationale, because maybe we just didn't see her, well, we can just superior call this, or we can call this and then superior call on top of something else. Linker Spear Dragon is not by any means a bad grade 3, it's just not the most consistent, especially when we would rather have Rationale, who does the exact same thing, kind of, but stands a rear guard as well. So we have Linker Spear in here as a 2 of, but it's still nice to have, and don't forget, unlike most of Alden's support, the cards you don't have to be superior called by abilities, meaning you can just call Linker Spear, normal call over, and give someone 10k. So 2 of Linker Spear. And then we have 4 copies of Heavenly Blade of Liaison, Rationale, grade 3 to Persona 13k base, auto placed on rear guard circle, Energy Blast 4 to draw a card. Okay, very expensive Energy Blast, and sadly it's not 3, so you don't get to reuse it every single turn consistently, but just simply being Energy Blast 4 is good enough to get you hand cards. And then auto rear guard, when your other unit is placed on the rear guard circle, this unit is on by the ability of your grade 3 or greater Vanguard with all in the card name. That place unit gets 10,000 power for that turn, and then if your opponent's Vanguards are grade 3 or greater, soul blast 1, choose on your rear guard, stand it. All around, pretty solid. Downside is for that ability, your unit has to be placed by Alden's ability. The upside, that unit automatically gets plus 10k, plus a possible Persona, right? So plus 20 overall. And then you soul blast 1 to stand one of your rear guards, meaning you get 5 attacks from just 1 counter blast and 1 soul blast. Arm Rationales makes for a very good grade 3 support card. Again, simple Energy Blast 4 just to draw a card by being placed on rear guard by any means. So worst case scenario, you want to call her from Alden's ability, you can do that. And then not to mention the fact as well, she's the perfect superior call target because, or the perfect call over superior call target, because she will get your rear guard that called over her plus 10k and stand another rear guard on top of it. And because Alden will always bounce back the card he superior calls over to the hand, you can just keep using Rationale every single turn. 4 of her all around, very solid grade 3 to have. I love having her in this deck. It's crazy not to have her at 4. Then we have our last card in the deck, 3 in the main deck, 1 in the ride deck of our main grade 3, of course, Destined 1 of Protection, Alden. Grade 3 to Persona 13k base, continues Vanguard Circle. When a card will be called by this unit's ability to a rear guard circle with the unit on top of it, the unit that was on that rear guard circle is put to the hand instead of being put to drop. Pretty solid. Essentially what that means is, say for example, Alden's skill, or a skill that Alden obtained that involves superior calling, aka the order from the previous set, superior call something over, like I just said, Rationale would, well, you could proc Rationale's ability first, you could proc them in any order, but like regardless, she would return to the hand at the end of all the procs rather than just going straight to the drop zone, which is solid. Moving on to his other ability, Auto Vanguard. When this attacks on anything, CB1 to draw a card, you up to 1 card from your hand, call to rear guard circle, and on any of your opponent's next turn, it cannot be retired by your opponent's card effects, and it gets 10,000 power. That part I didn't notice. So, to my understanding, that gives the unit superior called plus 10k during both players' turns. Interesting. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but at least by the way that's worded, that's how that skill works. Either way, though, being able to basically always guarantee you're going to have a call target because you draw a card, and then you just get superior call something, again, on top of this, which again, get you another rear guard attack, is great, and gives the unit plus 10 on top of it as well for more pressure. So say, for example, you did superior call Ermac from this ability, Ermac got plus 15k off his own skill, so he's at 25. This gives it plus another 10k skill, so it's at 35. Plus the skill of Rationale, so now it's at 45. Plus a possible Persona ride, it's at 55k without triggers. All around, that's a pretty good ability for only 1 CB. And then Divine Skill, Act Vanguard, Soul Blast 1, check the top 7, choose up to 2 cards from among them, call it to rearguard circles. Until the end of your opponent's turn, they cannot be retired by your opponent's card effects off the deck. Okay, the downside is to Alden's protection gimmick is that he only protects specifically against retires. So if they bind or bot deck or prison or bounce or whatever the hell, or move to drop zone, like specifically the wording move to drop zone, then they bypass Alden's whole retire BS. But on the bright side, he does get you rear guards out of nowhere, and again, he can keep recycling your rear guards. So worst case scenario, if Sodia has to call a PG off his skill, you can just use Alden's Divine Skill because he doesn't require the opponent to be at a specific grade, and then just Superior Call over the PG, and then the PG goes back to your hand, which all around is a nice ability to have. And again, Alden being able to bounce back the stuff that he Superior Calls to your hand is great, or Superior Calls over is great, and not to mention the fact as well that at least once per turn, you're going to have a unit that cannot be retired by your opponent's card effect. So if your opponent's main way of killing stuff is just retiring, say for example they're playing Gandiva, at least you bypass in that way. Though Gandiva's kind of a bad example because Gandiva gets the same benefit anyways, regardless if they kill your stuff or not. So there's that. Either way though, Destined 1 of Protection Alden is a very solid grade 3 to have. He's consistent, he gets your rear guards, he protects your stuff, and he's nice for pressure. So 3 of the main deck, 1 of the right deck. Without further ado, this is for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. Overall, this deck is actually very fun to play. I do like how old Alden support can be mixed with new Alden support to make really great combos. This version of the deck compared to the last one is definitely more new Alden support, but I like how it can still run the old cards like Aramak. I really love the weird parallel between Aramak and Gelmet. I won't shut up about this now. For the record, I realized this during the video, not while I was making the deck. And then, of course, we have Personel, literally the best supporting grade 3 ever, and the fact that Alden can at least protect your rear guards in some degree against retire-focused decks. So I guess F you, Eugene, there. And again, being able to consistently get rear guards, get good numbers out of it, and have a nice variety of like grade 1s, 2s, and 3s. Pretty much a variety of everything to pull from, because a lot of Alden support doesn't specifically require one of the other Aldens, or the ones that do require the Divine Skill one, meaning at least with this deck, you have a lot of versatility you can go into this list. Either way, though, that's it for this one. I hope all of you enjoyed. That was the final Destined one I've gotten to cover. Now on to the next deck profiles. God knows if I'm going to be able to finish the other 2 that I really wanted to do in time, but we'll see what happens. Either way, though, I'll see you all then. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, don't forget, and don't forget to snap your Vanguards.